So that was part of my mindset. Well, I don't want to buy when the market's high. I'd rather buy when it goes down again. I want to time the market. Yeah. Well, if you ever talk to any financial advisor, you're not going to time the market in the financial world. So what makes you think you're going to time the market in the real estate world?
All right, guys, here we go now. It is time to unlock more doors to deals. We're real estate investors here. We're real estate agents here, and we all have one thing in common. We believe that we can. We can live the life of our purpose. We can create financial freedom. We can build a better life for those that we love, and we can live the life of our dreams. I don't care if you're trying to do your first deal or your 500th this year. You can get to the next level, and we're here to help. All right, guys, I'm your host and founder, Jim Manning, and today's episode can be found on doorstodeals.com/087. So today, what we're going to talk about, had I really, truly understood, I think on some level I knew, but if I truly understood and broken down the numbers on this topic, I would literally have several $1 million extra on my net worth than what I have today. And I can't think of a better lesson, a better thing for us to talk about on our Business Bits episode to break down and an effort to help you understand that ahead of time. So you don't have to work 5+ years of your life hustling and working and trying to make things work and just not really making the headway that you could if you had an awareness on this topic. So I'm going to make a statement that the path to wealth comes through ownership. And no, that doesn't mean being an agent and making a commission. No, that doesn't mean being a wholesaler. No, that doesn't mean flipping real estate and making a 20 or 30 or 50 or even $100,000 check on a successful flip. Again, wealth comes through ownership. And what we're going to talk about today is we're going to break down a deal and compare what the profit was on a flip versus a rental, and just kind of dive deep into this topic. And hopefully you'll see the light a lot quicker than I did. I can be stubborn, I can be bullheaded sometimes, but hopefully you'll be able to understand this a lot quicker than the 20-year-old Jim when I first started out. So before we get started, once again, check out our resources on doorstodeals.com/087. We have a lot of resources on there. If you're an agent trying to figure this whole investing thing out, want to level up your agent business and also help clients, investor clients at a higher level, make sure you check us out. Okay, and finally, hey, here's our review of the week.
This week's review comes to us from Rip Eddie VH, titled Entertaining and Excellent Advice. 5 stars. Eddie VH writes, as a 29-year practitioner of real estate sales, I can't say enough about Jim and Ryan's organization, 3 Doors. Truly, it's a privilege to have access to such innovative and tested investment systems and strategies. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate what you're presenting and your positive can-do mindset. Keep it up, and we will all keep listening and growing together. Eddie, thank you for your review. Jim, back to you.
All right. Thanks for that review of the week. If you get value out of this episode today, please leave us a review. It really helps us out quite a bit. I really appreciate you for it. So, all right, let's get started on our Business Bits.
Hey guys, Caleb and Jim here with another episode of Doors to Deals. I'm super excited. Today is our Business Bits. So Jim and I are going to talk about why the path to wealth is through home ownership and how you can be a wealthy individual by owning more homes. So I hope you guys get some stuff out of this episode. Looking forward to chatting with Jim here. And
yeah,
what's going on, Jim?
You know, what's interesting is as I was thinking through this, this is a really important topic, and it's one that I wish I could take 25-year-old Jim when I was just getting going, slap him in the face a couple of times, show some tough love and say, you have to understand this. And if you understand this, you'll have a net worth that's millions of dollars more when you're 38 years old, like I am today, after having done this for 13 years. So this is really important to really understand what we're going to go into today. And you know, what's interesting about it is Caleb, have you ever read the book Marshmallow Test before?
I haven't, but I think I know what the marshmallow test is. It's about telling a kid if they I'll let you go into it because I do know what marshmallow test is.
So there's a whole book on this, and the book's really good. I forget the name of the author, but basically what they did is they did a study of kids over time, and what they said is okay. Well, they sat a kid down in a room and they said, "Here's a marshmallow," and they put the marshmallow on the table, and they said, "If you eat it, you can eat it now, or if you can wait." We'll give you 2 marshmallows if you can wait a little bit.
And these kids were they were like 3 years old, right?
They were younger. Yeah. Grade school, maybe 5 to 10 or something like that. And if you wait, you get 2. So the ultimate delayed gratification test, right? And what they found is that the kids that were able to, and by the way, there are funny videos online. If you want to entertain yourself on YouTube, you can type this in and watch the kids go through this experience and the pain that they're in on whether or not to eat this marshmallow, because it takes a lot of self-discipline. But what they found was then they followed these kids throughout their lives, and they found that there was a direct correlation between the kids that had a more of an ability to delay their gratification, the kids that end up doing the second marshmallow and waiting ended up being a lot more successful. And it turns out that being able to kind of delay your gratification is one of the keys to long-term success, believe that or not. So it's a really good test. And I wanted to intro this on as we're talking about kind of the path through wealth, because the 2 main instruments when people invest in real estate that they typically do is rentals and it's flipping, which you see on HGTV. And there's a lot of, and the third one's wholesaling. So wholesaling and flipping are a lot more of the one marshmallow, in my opinion, and rentals are like waiting for that second marshmallow.
I feel like rentals are like 3 marshmallows.
No, they're more. They're more like 10 marshmallows.
Yeah, rentals are so good. It's not just 2 marshmallows. But the problem is, so many people want to flip because they want that instant money. They want that cash now. They want to go buy the new car. And we've been talking about this a lot, guys, on the podcast lately. Is like, when your income raises, all you do is you bring your expenses up with it. You got to delay that gratification, keep those properties as rentals, and get that income over a longer time.
Yeah, and then what happens? You're still the hamster on the hamster wheel.
You're just chasing the next deal. Flipping is literally to chase the next deal. And it's great to build up some income and maybe pay off or build up some savings, pay off some debt you have so you can get those loans.
So it's interesting, and this happens to me a lot. I'll have like someone from corporate America come to me and say, Jim, I have a job I love. I'm making over 6 figures. I'm making great money. I love my job. Will you find me a flip so I can make an extra 30 or 40K? It's just like, why? You don't need income. It's the same thing, especially if you love what you're doing right now. It's exactly the same thing. It's not getting the $30,000. I mean, my goodness, I know it's a lot of money. But, like it's very easy to just blow that on a car or something that's not going to yield you a return, right?
Well, and it's not actually $30,000. I mean, you're paying, 20-30% in taxes.
Oh, that's a great point, Caleb. Absolutely. So, but it's just so tempting to get that marshmallow first. And what I'd like to do is open your all's mind to what some of the differences are between like kind of like the rentals and flips and the wholesales. And so we pulled out one here, and there's one that we're working on off of Parker up in South City here in St. Louis. And if we just run a scenario here, so let's say you make $50,000 on this flip, and tax brackets, I get it, they vary. But if you owe 22% on taxes, kind of what Caleb was getting at is $50,000 isn't $50,000. $50,000 is $39,000 if you're at a 22% tax bracket. You have to take out the taxes, right? That we all know and love so very much. So it's really $39,000. What's interesting is how often do we? This is a little bit of a sidebar, but we talk a lot about this. Is one of our key strategies when we are in front of homeowners trying to kind of talk to them about, hey, should we just buy it or should we list the property? And what happens is you have to have a conversation on what the actual net proceeds are and not what on the surface it looks like. Like, so Caleb, for example, like, what do you think if you have a $300,000 house that it looks like it's sold on the market, what's that end up at?
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of times, like to me, the cost of selling that house is actually 9 to 10%. You have the agents, they're in the 7 to 5% range. You can find cheaper, you can find more. Then you got all your taxes, tax probations, all your transfer taxes, repair costs.
It's not uncommon to get dinged by several $1,000s through inspections, right? Depending on how old the roof is and all that, right?
The upwards of the cost can be 9 to 10%.
And so one of the keys as an investor is having a net proceeds conversation and not a, hey, my neighbor got 300, my neighbor put their house on the market for 300,000. Well, hey, let's dig into that. Well, they put it up for 300,000. They actually got 290 and they gave the seller 3% closing cost on that even. So they actually didn't sell it for that. And then when you factor in the commissions and everything like that, they more got like 260 or 255 for the home. But homeowners, they don't necessarily understand that. Okay. And what I'm trying to do is from an investing standpoint, we deal with that same struggle. We see on TV somebody making $50,000, or we just see it on paper when we're analyzing a deal. Man, I could get $50,000 cash in my bank account. Yeah, that's not.
You know what's amazing right now is everybody listening to this, whether it's live or they're listening later, already has that 50 grand spent in their head. Every single one of you is like, I'm putting it here, 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 and here. And that's the completely wrong way to do it, which is kind of what we're going to get at here. And it goes back to the Mark King podcast. I want you guys to think of it. Those of you that listen to the Mark King podcast about like, I need to save and invest. Every one of you is just sitting here thinking like, what am I going to spend that 50K on if I got that 50K?
Yeah, the game of wealth is the game of opposites. It's increasing income while decreasing expenses, while keeping expenses the same, and being disciplined enough to take that gap, take that surplus, and then invest it somewhere. And in a lot of cases, one of my favorite ways to invest it is into rental properties. So, okay, let's take this example here. Side tangent over. I hope people are following me with my massive ADD that I have. So $39,000 is what this $50,000 flip is. Okay, this property, we're going to hold on to it as a rental. And the cash flow on this one is pretty darn good. I mean, we're pretty happy with $400 a month. This one we're predicting $677 a month. So about $8,100 on the first year. So gosh, 15,000 versus 8,100 on that first year. I mean, it feels like you're waiting for that marshmallow at this point, doesn't it, Caleb?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And people have such a hard time with it. You look at, and it's, and the comparison that's natural is 50,000 compared to 8,100. But let's have like an actual net proceeds conversation here. Okay. So 50,000 is really 39,000. And so 8,000 cash flow versus 39,000, that's about a $31,000 difference. Right now, what else happens? So there's about $8,600 on this property that you can take on a depreciation where you're paying less taxes through the depreciation. Okay, so there's a couple grand bridge there that we're actually getting a little bit closer, right? And then over the course of 3 years, if you end up deciding to sell this property and a 4% appreciation happens on it, you're going to sell it. And on this particular property, we're predicting a $132,000 deal should we decide or want to sell this property. Okay, so on this property over the course of time, what do we say? How many extra marshmallows would that be, Caleb? What do you think?
That's 10, 15, 20 extra marshmallows. Hey, Ryan's in the audience. If you could promote him.
Oh, yeah. So he's yes. Let's get him in. Hopefully,
Ryan will have some gold for you guys.
You gotta love it. Yeah, you gotta love us running the business. Yeah, he. Come on, dude. Remote 2-panelist. Okay.
There we go. There we go.
All right.
Yeah. So to me, I think it's so many people get so caught up on like, I can get the 50K now, like, but I'm only going to get the cash flow. And what everyone forgets about is eventually you're going to exit that house. Eventually you're going to realize those gains. And the tax benefits of selling that house after you own it for a year gets to be so much sweeter than the normal tax burden that you would have on that money.
Yeah, no. So on this property, 5 years, the pro forma we ran was worth about 187,000, and then you hold on to these long term, 10 plus years. I mean, it's not uncommon, guys. I ran a pro forma on one that was, gosh, I mean it had legs over 30 years to be worth over $750,000 of profit. That one deal, and especially people that are part time investing. It's like, well, why would you work your tail off and do all the work it takes to do a deal and get excited about 39K when you could have something that you just hold on to and make a 10X return? Or in some cases, depending on how long you can hold on to it, it's 100X return. I don't know what that is. What 187 is compared to 39. I guess that's, I don't know what that is. That's what's that, about 5 times return there. But anyway, so that is something to really wrap your head around. Now I hear people kind of thinking like, okay, well, here's the problem. Okay. Like, it takes money to make money. If I'm doing rentals, where's the 20% cash come from? How do I do that if I don't have it? And the first step is income. There's no question about that. And that's why I think a lot of people start out as, like as an agent or as a wholesaler or doing some flipping, because it does provide you with some income that you can live off of. Right.
I didn't realize I got muted somehow. It's important that you have to have your expenses paid for, and you have to have that decent credit. But don't get so caught up on like, I need to raise my income bar because if you get caught in that rat race of raising your income and not keeping these properties as rentals, it can be absolutely like detrimental to your long-term wealth, because next thing you know, you're selling 15 properties a year. That's great. You're making $300,000. How much money are you going to make next year because of that?
Well, and not only that, but just because it takes money to make money when it comes to rentals doesn't mean it has to be your money.
Exactly. That too. Yeah. It does not have to be your money. You can partner with people on deals.
The first deal I did that was a rental, I talked to my parents into co-signing with me and putting the down payment down, and I kind of did everything else, and we still own the property today, and it will be one of the best investments I've ever made in my life, and my parents have ever made in their lives, because we held on to. I did the house hacking before. This is how old I am. I did the house hacking before that was even the term for it. I rented one unit out and I stayed in the other unit, but so then that would be the next thing too, is like, okay, well, if you don't have the income, do you have any friends or family? Do you have anybody that's looking for opportunities that maybe you can still do it? And the slippery slope of raising the income, so Ryan and I were on this quest for doing more deals. This was around like 2017, something like that.
I remember this well. This era.
Yeah.
I was on the outside, but I remember.
So 2 things that happened, and I love Ryan's, sometimes I forget what day of the week it is, and we're talking about 10 years ago, right? It was around 2010, 2011. This is how I remember it. I'm glad Ryan's able to talk. I go to Ryan and I say, we need to buy and hold on to a bunch of stuff. And Ryan says, nah, I don't feel like it. And and then we just decided not to do it. We didn't want to deal with some of the headaches of the landlord or whatnot. And so what we did is, we got into this quest for more. And we said, hey, well, we're going to grow our brokerage and our agent team and do more deals there. And we're going to do more, we're going to do some wholesales, but we're really going to focus on flipping. And man, we got it up. I think so then 2017, things are going well. And then like 2017 happens, and we bought like 100 houses and 2 package deals. And we blew the lid off. We bought like 250 or 300 houses that year, whatever the heck it was. It was a crazy amount of deals. And our ops team hated us. We kind of hated us because like there was so much extra work that was going on. And then we looked at our net sheet at the end of the year and it was like, we made less money than we were used to making. So we were on this quest for more income and more deals, and we kind of blew the lid and we lost control of our expenses, and then we ended up not making more money. I mean, had we just either brought in a money partner and said, hey, we just bought 350 homes, let's just hold on to all of them. This was 2017, guys. Like, looking back, and I get that hindsight's 2020, but over a 5-year span, I mean, if we just held on to all of them, I mean, I don't know what we'd be doing. I have my net would be double though. I know that.
You'd have 40 or 50% or probably 40% gains on that. Just what you sold it on.
And the writing was on the wall there. I mean, Warren Buffett even came out with like, hey, right now, the best investment that you possibly can do is single family real estate. If I had a way to buy 8,000 homes and manage them, I would. This was kind of around when all that was going on too. But so
talking about like getting more deals, this is something that I think is so important. We have to internalize as real estate agents.
Hey there, if you're looking to get the ultimate edge for your real estate investing company, go to doorstodeals.com/invest for more information. Just so you know, a high percentage of the people that we interview on this podcast are actually already Three Doors Network members. And our network members have a lot of extra resources. They have access to an online training vault with over 3 years worth of content in it. They have access to vendor savings like our Home Depot discount that's literally saved thousands of dollars for members. And we have a weekly group coaching call, and we have a lot of other great things as well as part of the Three Doors Network. So make sure that you check it out on doorstodeals.com/invest.
Talking about like getting more deals, this is something that I think is so important. We have to internalize as real estate agents, is you guys are looking at other people that are talking about, and this is particularly to real estate agents. Agents always talking how much they sold. I love to change that script. How much did you make? How much did you bring home? That number matters so much more. I've gotten to know a lot of really top agents that sell $100 million in real estate, and when I start talking to some of them about how much they're bringing home, sometimes they make less money than that person who sells $10 million a year. And I know that's scary to think about. It's crazy. But just know that as you guys, like some of you guys here who are listening, are starting your businesses, don't be on this quest that I have to do 100 deals. Be on the quest to do the 20 most profitable deals.
Yeah, be on the
always think about that.
Make the most amount of money with the least amount of overhead. And then what do you do with that? You take that money and you try to get the money to work first before you spend it. Buy that rental property with it, and then reinvest that surplus into things that will make you money and then make you long-term wealth. And
what do you
off that hamster wheel?
So there's a lot of people. So let's talk through some of the issues of why people don't buy rentals. You want to go into that? Because I think a lot of people think rentals are way more work than they are, which is what Ryan's belief was 10 years ago.
Yeah, and
I'll finally chime in here. So, yes, I was not wanting to do it, but let's go through the why of why I wasn't wanting to go through it. I was actually just thinking about this as you guys were talking. Since 2008, everyone has been on this quest to find when is the bottom going to fall out again. Whether it's a real estate investor, whether it's a real estate agent, whether it's the people who report on real estate, everyone seems to want to be the first person to say, oh, the market's slowing down, or this or that, be the first. And I don't know if I've ever pinpointed until literally just a couple minutes ago as you guys were talking. Part of my hesitation was always, and I even told Jim this, if you recall, Jim, it was always, well, I'd rather buy when the market goes down. Because yes, we missed out on that 2008 because we weren't holding. So that was part of my mindset. Well, I don't want to buy when the market's high. I'd rather buy when it goes down again. I want to time the market. Yeah. Well, if you ever talk to any financial advisor, you're not going to time the market in the financial world. So what makes you think you're going to time the market in the real estate world?
I love this.
Love that.
I love the saying with that is time in the market will always be timing the market.
Oh yeah, and actually, Caleb, great point. And to add to this, guys, like Ryan and I, or I guess the three of us, sometimes I get confused on who I'm talking to about what. We did an analysis of, hey, what would happen if we would have bought in 2006 at the very height of the market, of like what is probably most likely going to be the greatest real estate recession of our lifetimes over the next 100 years. If we would have bought in 2006 at the height of it, like what would have happened to us? A 5-year window? Yeah, ouch. No question about it. But if you're buying and holding on a 10-year viewpoint or a 15 or a 20-year or a 30-year viewpoint, you could have bought all day in 2006 compared to the prices that homes are at now.
Now that's in some markets. So here in St. Louis, our market that way. But if you bought in somewhere like certain markets buying in 06, yeah, you would have got gutted and devastated even to this point.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you the majority of markets.
Yeah, majority of markets. There's gonna be that one listener that's like, no, not in this neighborhood in Detroit.
Yeah, I lived in Detroit, and the manufacturing jobs all went away, and then certainly there's. Yeah,
but absolutely, and most markets you could have bought in 2006, and as long as you held that property, you're good now. I mean, you were in the green
and bought at full retail, like just 100% fair market. You know, if you're going to hold on to it long enough. So I love that mindset and that headspace around the timing of the market. You know, like it's the timing of your exit strategy makes a world of difference, doesn't it?
We're buying more rental properties, you, myself, and Ryan, than we ever have. And it's April of 2022 for those of you that are listening to this later. And I would say I bought more rentals in first quarter of this year, probably more single family rentals than I have any other quarter since I've been doing real estate.
And this is why Caleb Davis doesn't care, because the exit strategy is far out and we're okay with it. Right.
Yeah. Time in the market will be timing the market. So many people, like I remember even back in like 2017, 2018, we're like, well, I'm waiting for the crash. Why are you buying single family homes right now? Why are you buying multifamilies, Caleb? And I was like, I'm making money on them. Why not grab these gains? And then when the crash happens, I'll have the money to even jump on it even more. Because I remember the sentiment even going into 2020 was the market's going to crash. The market's up 25% since 2020, pretty much across the real estate board. And then now today, 2022, everyone's looking at me saying the market's going to crash. I'm going to go buy more real estate because I know even if it crashes, I'm not selling. I'm holding. Rents are going to stay strong. I mean, that's the flipping game, though. Those people who were sitting on 10, 15, and $3 even in 2017 when you did 300 houses in a year. I bet you, I mean, if the market would have crashed in a 6-month period, 150 houses to take a 10% loss could have been devastating. But you would have had to just change your gear to hold that.
The market crashed when we were going through those growing pains. We would have been knocked out of the game. There's no question about it. We would have been
unless you would change your strategy to holding all of those, but that would have been tough.
Good point. Yeah,
tough to find the banks.
We could have pivoted to long-term holds. You're right.
So
the only way we could have pulled it off. Yep.
So, what do you think? Why don't more people hold real estate? I mean, what's the fear of that? You think?
Well, I mean, I think I know for me, it was like the thought of like dealing with tenants and managing the homes. I really had a hard time with, because I was like, well, I can make the 30K on the flip. I don't have to deal with people I don't, tenants, and what if they mess up the house or all of that. Yeah. So I had a hard time with it because of that.
I was talking to somebody last night and they were saying the same thing. Like, I don't want my houses destroyed. I was like, what if you buy like nice houses and you rent to like really like high-end people? And that's kind of what we've started doing, you and I, in the last years. We don't buy the lower income. We're in the B-rated single family homes, and we're cash flowing $400 a door. And we have a unique strategy. We do it, which we've talked about on other episodes. All you guys have to do is change your outlook on what properties you want to buy to cater to the audience that you want to sell to. When you think of it that way, as owning rental properties and an audience that you want to sell to that audience, who's going to be your ideal client? Make sure you're buying the houses that fit your ideal client's needs and not the needs of what you see all over talked about on a lot of the big podcasts, because a lot of those people are like, go buy the single families for $30,000. But then you're Your audience is the people that can afford a $30,000 house. You're buying a $250,000 rental. Your audience is going to take care of your property. Sometimes they're going to upgrade your property. So think about that as you guys are thinking about rentals and where you want to be and where you want to place yourself.
Yeah. So, and what we're doing is we have like really been diving into rent to owns, lease purchases, different kind of names for it. But, we have an entire program now that we're doing here in St. Louis for, and we're placing tenants for investors as well, like within this model. And we're, the numbers are so good, guys. We're trying to do every single deal we possibly can in this model because the numbers are fantastic, and we're helping someone get into home ownership that and maybe doesn't have the credit to. So it's a massive win-win. So
let's sorry.
Yeah. So like, just circling back. So I was kind of curious. Okay, we ran through this number, 39K versus making a lot more over like a 5-10 year span. The crazy thing about it is, like, if you look at, let's multiply this over 10 years and say we did 20 of these deals. Okay. So what happens is, if you're a flipper and you did 20 deals over, so you did, like one some years, two some other years. So you kind of did it more on a part-time basis. You'd make about $790,000 on those 20 deals at the end of the day. Okay. And 39K to, like kind of that 60K range. If that's kind of like your main income, like you're probably spending the majority of that over a 10-year span, right? Like you're really not able to save much of that. That's really kind of what you're living off of. But if you take those same deals and you hold on to all of them, the monthly income, the passive income is about $13,000 a month, and you're making about $162,000 a year just on the passive income on those properties. So at that point, by my measures, my standards, I would classify that person as financially free and being able to cover all their expenses. So, and then the net worth, and then the other part about it, guys, is the flipper, probably kind of burned through and spent the majority of that 790 most likely. And the net worth on a conservative and ultra conservative, when I was running numbers on this, would be about $7 million for the rental person,
for doing the same activities, but having
same deals.
Same deals. The only difference is the exit strategy is the person holds it.
So a net worth of potentially zero. Obviously this is an example here, so it depends on factors there, but a potential net worth is zero for the flipper, and a conservative net worth of $7 million and $162,000 yearly passive income coming in. So that's the difference, guys, between buying and holding and flipping, like in a nutshell.
That's amazing. I wish I held more properties, because I sold so many that I'm like, man, I should have held that.
I only knew now.
Yeah.
I only knew then what I know now.
What's amazing is you guys are knowing now to learn from our mistakes.
Well, I would love to think like, okay, yeah, 20-year-old Jim would listen to this episode and change. I don't know. I might, there's going to be a portion of y'all that don't listen and learn this the hard way. I get it, but man, if you can take heart to this and really learn this and understand this, you'll be happy. I promise you, you'll be a 10+ year vet like I am, and you'll be really happy you applied this strategy. And you can do a blend of it, guys. Like if you need that income as part of from these flips, maybe you did 10 rentals and you did 10 of the flips. But the key is you have to find a way to hold on to some of them. You just have to. That's the only way to get off that hamster wheel.
And there's always a way to hold them. You can partner with somebody to get the funding. There's, if you got to give up part of the deal to make more, don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to do that. Anything from you, Ryan?
No, I'm just listening. I'm wanting to listen more on this one than that. And I was just thinking about fear. Fear is what will prevent someone from doing it. And you guys hit it. The fear was part of what prevented me from wanting to jump in. the fear will prevent someone else from doing it as well. And it could be because the other thing, like Jim said, it's super nice to see that 750,000, or if you break it down, that $30,000 profit on that deal right in front of you. It's really nice. And man, I got this bill and that bill staring me in the face. So, I really need to do it, or I want to do it. There's a big difference between needing to do it because I have X, Y, and Z to pay for, and wanting to do it because I want to do this or that. So I think, to me, it's, what do you want? We're in a society of short-term gratification, and that's part of the problem. The problem is people do renovations, they make good money at it, but it's a short term. If you actually listen to what Jim just said, that's the person who's in it for the long haul. The long-term person is going to always win at a higher level because they don't have that immediate need. And by the way, when I got on, you guys were talking about the income will allow you to have the long-term growth. So both are necessary, both are important. Having an actual strategy and game plan to implement is really what each person should be thinking about and what's right for them. It's all individualized. So what's right for one person might not be right for another.
Yeah, and you just have to figure out the plan that fits best for you and your needs. What's going to help you hit the goals that you want to get and achieve the life really that you deserve and you want. You want to open up this?
And if you're listening in like, oh man, I'm an agent, I really need to continue to work on that and to pay my bills, or I'm a wholesaler, or I'm flipping. Hey, no judgment free zone. Like I've been there, I've done that. I wish I was just more aware and I did everything I could to hold on to more. There were several that we could have held on to that we just didn't for whatever reason, because we were just on to the next deal, on to the next deal, on to the next client. So, well, all right, guys.
Jim, real quick, I want to add on. I mean, the agents who are listening, the ability for you to be in front of sellers and to get deals is an amazing advantage over everyone else in the market. I include investors in that. You are the people who I want to say 80% of homeowners will call a realtor first. That's their first phone call, is to a realtor or to somebody who knows a realtor. So you're at the forefront of sellers, and there are ways for you to buy these properties with no money out. Real quick, I want to go into a story that we bought a property 2 weeks ago. We bought a property from some folks. They didn't have a mortgage on it. The market that we're in right now is super tough to find a house. They didn't really want to write an offer contingent. They didn't need to, but they felt compelled to, no matter whether they needed to or not. So they were, and that was hurting their chances of buying. So we had been talking to them for over a year. We said, stay in your house. We don't care. Just sell us your house. So after lots of conversations and a couple different options, we said, you don't owe anything, so why don't you just sell it to us and do an owner finance for as long as you need, 6 months to a year, but we won't pay you anything. We'll own it and you'll still live there. And then you don't have to write a contract contingent. So we bought a really nice home in Crestwood 2 weeks ago for a grand total of $1,300 out of our pocket.
Yeah, we did the same thing in a St. Charles one a few months ago that, was potential to make six figures on that deal. Yeah.
So the point is, you realtors are in front of these sellers all the time. And if you go in with the mindset of listing and selling these properties yourself every time, that's perfectly fine. And I wish you well in your career. And if you want to change that mindset, let's talk, because we can help you, and we can help you become financially free. And we would love to do that, because that's our objective, is to help as many people become financially free as possible.
Yeah, I love
Absolutely.
it. And so here's the thing, though, and we started this off with the marshmallow, the one marshmallow versus the two. And Caleb jokingly said, well, rentals isn't 1 versus 2. Well, it's like 1 versus like 100 marshmallows. That's the thing, though. Like, gosh, realtors, like on that property, what would the listing commission have been, Ryan? Like it was like a $250,000 house or a $300,000 house.
It was about 250.
Oh, but I could just make a $9,000.
7, 8, yeah. 7, 8,
I can make a 7,500. I tell you, realtors' math is phenomenal when it comes to calculating what their agent commission is going to be. They suck at math typically on everything else, but man, they know that math. Yeah, Caleb was like a 7,500, Jim. But yeah, that's the first marshmallow, and then you hold on to it long term. You know, it's very well $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 depending on how long you hold on to it.
All right, so I've just got to do it because I heard you guys talking about marshmallows. So 3 doors, you might want to say we're the s'mores of real estate. We bring the marshmallow, the graham cracker, and the chocolate all together.
The s'mores of real estate.
Caleb, we might have to revisit Ryan hopping on from time to time on this podcast. Go with comments like that. Okay, so that's a wrap, guys. For additional resources, go to doorstodeals.com/087. And hey, if you're an agent trying to figure out this whole investing game, you want to serve your investors at a higher level, you want to invest yourself and start building long-term wealth for you and your family, we have cash, we have a lot of resources, we have a lot of training available. Make sure you check us out. So finally, go out, live your purpose, and above all else, go after your dreams. Till next time. Thanks for tuning into this show. For more episodes and resources that will unlock Doors to Deals, check out our website, doorstodeals.com.